Hello there. My name is Lenny Simmons, and I'm excited to spend the next 15 minutes or so with you talking about mindfulness in law and leading a short meditation. As I said, my name is Lenny Simmons. I'm a recent graduate of William and Mary Law School, and I'm about to begin working at Seward and Kissel in New York City in the investment management group. So what is mindfulness in law? Why is it different than mindfulness in general, and why is it especially important to practice in law and with lawyers? So, first I'll ask, have any of you ever heard of the Gesundheit Institute? It's not incredibly popular, maybe you haven't, but a lot of you may have heard of the movie Patch Adams, where Robin Williams plays a doctor who is also a clown who treats patients with a combination of medicine and laughter. In fact, it's actually based on a true story of a real man named Patch Adams and his co-founder John Glick, both of whom had a desire to not only treat patients, but treat patients as people. See, to Patch Adams and John Glick, in the field of medicine, there is the obvious problem of having sick patients. And then there's a deeper underlying problem, which is that we have doctors who treat patients like their diseases, who only care about treating their diseases, and somehow patients get swept up in this and get lost in the entire process and aren't being treated with the dignity and respect that they deserve. And so their specialized hospital, which is based on laughter and really treating people as people, is meant to remedy something like that. So I see a very similar issue in law. Now, Patch Adams wasn't only concerned about the patients, he was also concerned about the doctors. It's the clients and the practitioners who suffer when there are these underlying issues in our field that go unaddressed. And in medicine, a lot of it seems to be, according to them, this treating patients as their diseases, not being able to see past that, and that proliferating and spreading to the doctors themselves and having more distance in their relationships because of the difficult relationships that they have with sick patients. Now, in law, there's also an underlying problem. So on its face, there is the overriding conflict. Okay, when lawyers are brought into situations, it's usually because there's some type of conflict, whether it's litigation or something beforehand. Even if it's just contracts, there's some sort of conflict that needs to be resolved. And in that process, we risk losing the fact that our clients are people, just like in the situation with Patch Adams and his patients. We risk losing that they're people. We also risk forgetting that the people we work with are people, that they have many of the same desires, dreams, hopes, fears that we do, many of the same insecurities. We're so focused on fixing these conflicts that a lot of that gets brushed to the side. And when these things get brushed to the side, it's because we're not paying attention to them. There's some sort of overriding concern. We're worried about our jobs, we're worried about ourselves, and all of that boils down to the conflict, which in law school we are trained to analyze and fix. But there's just so much more to it, and knowing about the conflict and how to fix it doesn't help us treat our clients as people, notice what's going on beside the conflicts, and notice how the conflicts are affecting us and our vision of those around us. And so mindfulness is a way for us to get back into this situation. So what is mindfulness, and what is mindfulness in law? Mindfulness is the practice of cultivating attention into the present moment to be aware of what's going on around us. Mindfulness in law is extending that into the legal field so that regardless of how much stress there is and what conflict is happening around us, we're aware of the reality of the situation. So how can we practice something like this? How can we actually become more aware? So first, it's worth recognizing that we aren't always aware of what's going on around us. So for instance, take this very simple example. I bet that until I said this, you weren't aware of the feeling of your feet touching the ground. But now you might be. What if you were to take your awareness for a moment and really try to focus on the feeling of your feet touching the ground? You notice that there is something there. There is a feeling there that you weren't paying attention to before. And there's actually a lot of feelings like this. If you really pay attention throughout your day, you'll notice that there's sensations while you walk that usually you forget about, maybe because you were lost in conversation or you were texting or something like that. And all the time there are these sensations of coolness and warmth in the air, of our feet touching the ground. You can even, if you tune in really closely, feel the sensation of your clothing touching your body. And these are present all around us. And it's not just the physical sensations that we miss out on, there's lots of emotions as well. There's lots of times that we're having conversations with people or we're involved in stressful situations, and we don't notice the undercurrent of emotions that are flowing through us, and they can affect us without us noticing them. So the process of mindfulness is to train our attention so that we're aware of what's going on around us, whether it be physical sensations, whether it be emotions, whether it be undertones, and that helps us always understand the situations around us. I just finished law school a few months ago. I spent 3 years there, and I can say that mindfulness was an incredibly important part of law school for me. It kept my focus up, it kept my stress levels down, it kept me aware of what was really important and going on around me. It helps you to know the work that needs to get done without forsaking friendships or family relationships, and it helps you care for the people around you by keeping you level-headed and in tune with everyone's emotions. So it would be my pleasure to lead us through a short meditation that'll take about 6 or 7 minutes. And this meditation is called the body scan. So some of you who have meditated before may have tried something called a breathing meditation. This is very, very common. Some people call it Vipassana. But without any of the fancy words, breathing meditation is usually the process of keeping your focus on the breath and noticing the sensation of coolness and warmth or any feelings in the nose as we breathe in and out, just letting the body breathe. But a lot of people have told me over the years that this is a difficult meditation to start with, that they often get distracted, and you're always going to get distracted when you meditate. This is just something the mind normally does. But I'm going to try something a little bit different, a bit of a guided meditation that's easy for people to learn and practice on your own, called the body scan. So what we're going to be doing that's a little bit different than the breathing meditation is that I'm going to lead you through a tour of your body. We're going to start at our heads and we're going to move down to our feet, and along the way we're going to notice the sensations in that part of the body. And you might notice that some things might be very subtle and then they'll rise up and you'll start noticing them. Other times you might not be able to notice anything in that area at all, and that's completely fine. Try to keep your attention on the body part that we are currently on. Notice whatever is there, and if you ever get distracted, just non-judgmentally bring your attention back to where we are and try again. Mindfulness is a lot like building a muscle, and every time we're able to notice that we're distracted and bring ourselves back, that's us building the muscle. So let's find a comfortable position with our feet on the ground, and we can be seated. You can put your hands wherever you'd like, whatever would be comfortable. And we'll start with a few deep breaths to get us centered. Now let's bring our attention to the tops of our heads. You may feel your hair on your head. You may feel your forehead. Try bringing your attention as focused as you can be just to any sensations on the top of your head. Moving down, see if you can notice any sensation in your ears. Can you feel your ears on the side of your head? Are there any sensations in or on your ears? Now bring your attention to the eyes. If the eyes are open, you might feel some straining, maybe the urge to blink. If the eyes are closed, you might feel tightness if they're shut very tightly. Maybe they feel heavy. However they feel, just notice it. Moving our attention down to the mouth. Notice if the jaw is clenched. Notice where the tongue sits. Notice any other sensations within the mouth. Now moving our attention down to the neck. We keep a lot of tension in the neck and shoulders. Do you feel any of that tension? Try feeling the tension, maybe the weight of your head, any other sensations on the neck. Now take a deep breath through the nose and try to relax the neck and shoulders. Now return the attention back to the neck and see if there's any difference now that we've taken that deep breath and tried to relax. Bring our attention over to the shoulders. Do we notice anything on the shoulders? Try seeing if you can feel the sensation of your clothing touching your body on your shoulders. Now moving down to the elbows of the arms. Are they tight? Are they locked in place? Are they loose? Are they pressed against anything? Bringing our awareness and noticing sensations on the elbows. Bringing our awareness to the hands. What are the hands placed on? What is the sensation of our hands resting either on the armrest or our legs or on a table? Now, starting with the pinky on your left hand, see if you can notice some sensations in each finger. So start with your pinky on your left hand and move from left to right, noticing sensations on each finger, what they're pressed against, how it feels, whether they're rigid or relaxed, and move across all your fingers. Now bringing our awareness to our back. Again, we might notice our clothing touching our body, but also the sensation of our back touching our seats. What does that feel like? Bringing our awareness to what it feels like to just sit in this chair. Then bringing our awareness to the thighs on the seat. Maybe how our pants feel on our thighs, the pressure of our thighs against the chair. Noticing the knees, whether they're locked in place or relaxed. And then noticing the sensation of our feet touching the ground, the pressure on our feet from resting on the ground. Maybe you can feel the sensation of your feet in your socks, maybe your socks in your shoes. And then wiggle the toes just to see what that feels like. Just notice what it feels like to wiggle your toes. And then bring your attention to the nose to notice what it feels like to take 3 long, deep breaths. Now open your eyes and bring your attention back to the room. So we've just completed about an 8-minute, what's called a body scan. And I hope you were all able to follow along and that it was a positive experience for you. A body scan is a great way that you can practice meditation at home. Body scan, some people do body scans when they wake up in the morning. I find that to be very helpful. It's a very good way of starting the day to get in tune with your body. Some people do body scans so that they can fall asleep at night. It helps relax you and get you into a good mode for sleeping. It's also great to do throughout the day, maybe between classes, just to do a 1 or 2 minute check-in with your body, going through it a little bit faster and keeping track of maybe your feet when you're walking that day, always being aware of these physical sensations. And over time, this does build the muscle of mindfulness. It keeps us more focused, it keeps us more attentive on what's going on around us, and overall it makes us better law students, better people, and eventually better lawyers. So while you were doing this meditation, there's a bunch of things that you may have noticed. You may have had thoughts that were very distracting. You may have found it difficult to focus on different parts of the body because there were so many thoughts of what you've already done today, what you still have to do, work to be done, people you've met. And that's all okay. As I said earlier, it's bringing ourselves back to the meditation from those thoughts that build the muscle of mindfulness. You may have had trouble feeling certain parts of the body, and that's completely okay as well. I'll admit that despite having done quite a few body scans, I have never personally been able to feel the top of my head, but I've heard that there's a lot of people who can, so I include it anyway. This just goes to say that the experience is different for everyone, but it's an important experience nonetheless, and one that should be practiced and that will show serious results when it is practiced. So thank you for watching this video. I hope all of you become interested in mindfulness and mindfulness in the law, and that you bring it into your practice, because it's very important for lawyers, especially these days, to have such a resource with them to address the conflicts not only in our cases, but the conflicts that arise within ourselves and within the profession in general. So thank you very much.